Most murders break families. This one turned 2 kids into detectives. People lock their doors at night, but what if the real danger was already inside? Let me tell you a story from a small town called Maple Ridge, a quiet place, 1 grocery store, 2 stoplights, and the kind of fall that smells like wet leaves and laundry detergent. David and Lauren Reed lived there with their 2 kids, Emma and Tyler, and a pet dog named Toby, who believed every human was his best friend. The Reeds ran a small home repair business. Nothing fancy. Fix a porch, patch a roof, replace a water heater before it floods a laundry room. They were good at the business. A white van with a dent in the bumper, paint speckles on the seats, coffee at 6 a.m., receipts stuffed in shoeboxes, price quotes scribbled on sticky notes. Money was tight, like it is for most small businesses. They talked about saving for a used car for Emma and how the price of plywood had finally come down. Normal stuff, but one Tuesday night in late October, the parents didn't come home. There'd been a quick after-hours call, a leaking kitchen sink on the other side of town. They texted Emma, said they'd grab gas station pizza and be back by 10. 10 came and went. No headlights in the driveway. Toby paced by the door. Midnight. Still nothing. Emma, just 15, called their business partner, Owen. No answer. She dialed 911. Police found David and Lauren in their shop office behind the hardware store they rented. A shattered window. A filing cabinet tipped over. Cash bag missing. The detective told the kids it looked like a burglary gone wrong. The town brought casseroles. The school counselors said the right things, and then the investigation slowed down, the way investigations do when there are no obvious fingerprints and no dramatic confession. Here's where this stops feeling like a random tragedy and starts feeling personal, because the Reeds had 2 kids who did something most people don't expect from kids. They paid attention. The first detail came from Toby. The golden retriever didn't bark the night their parents died. The neighbors didn't hear a thing. Toby was the kind of dog who would sound off at a mailman's shadow. He barked at Netflix doorbells, but not that night. Emma thought about it later and said a simple line that still gives me chills. He didn't bark because he knew them. The second detail came from a dead doorbell. Tyler was 12. He liked games, memes, and messing with gadgets. He noticed their Ring camera had gone offline at 9:43 p.m. That never happened. Their Wi-Fi was fine. He pulled up the app and saw something he didn't understand back then. Someone had deleted the last 2 clips before it went black. Emma and Tyler went to stay with their Aunt Kay for a bit. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and sympathy cards. The kids split chores. They tried to go to school, to sit through algebra, to eat crusts of PB and J, and at night they couldn't sleep, because when you're 15 and 12 and your entire world just collapsed, the worst part is the silence. So they started talking. About Toby, about the dead doorbell, about the code to their garage keypad, which their dad had changed 2 weeks earlier to 1512. Their birthdays back to back. Only a handful of people knew that. Family, their neighbor, Miss Patel across the street, and Owen, their dad's partner of 8 years. Let's talk about Owen for a second. He was the kind of guy you trust by default. Big hands, laughs from his belly. He showed up early the next morning with donuts and a promise to finish the jobs on the schedule. No matter what, he hugged the kids. He cried. He said he loved their parents like his own brother and sister. The town nodded. The kids nodded too. But then they went home and started looking around. Emma opened their mom's laptop. She didn't know what she was looking for. Just anything. She found QuickBooks in a folder called Hollow Creek. It was the name of a flip project on the edge of town. A little ranch house with good bones and a mold problem. Inside the folder were invoices and Venmo screenshots. There were payments listed to a company called GB Waste Removal for debris hauling. Round numbers, clean hundreds. But Emma had seen the guy who hauled their debris 100 times. He was named Walt. He took cash. He wore a faded Duke hat. He didn't send invoices. Tyler, meanwhile, dug into their family shared notes. His mom kept everything in there. Dentist forms, grocery lists, a note labeled, "In case of Ugh, I hate this, with the storage unit number 207. They'd had that unit for years for overflow tools. Saturday came. Aunt Kay drove them over. They rolled up the door and stared at the buckets of screws and saw blades and a Christmas wreath that had seen better days. Nothing looked special until Tyler knocked the back panel of an old metal filing cabinet and heard a hollow sound. Inside the false back was a manila envelope with their mom's handwriting. Hollow Creek, deposit, change order, cash tie-out, ask O, ask O, ask Owen. Inside the folder was a photocopy, a certified check, $15,000, a deposit from a developer named Gordon Blake, a name Emma knew. She'd seen it in the local Facebook group. The guy who sponsored half the Little League teams. The guy who smiled in every ribbon-cutting photo. On the back of the check, 2 signatures, David Reed, and get this, Owen Pike. There was a penciled note, cash tie-out short. Where? And a date, 2 days before the murder. That night, Emma called their neighbor, Ms. Patel. She's the kind of neighbor every street needs. Kind, sharp. She dropped off a rice casserole and 3 brand new toothbrushes, because grief makes you forget the basics. Emma asked if she'd seen anything the night her parents died. Ms. Patel didn't pause. I saw a white pickup, she said, loud exhaust, parked in front of your mailbox for maybe 5 minutes. Around 10, then she added, I thought it was Owen's at first. Same shape, same little magnet sign on the door, but I couldn't be sure, not in the dark. You remember the dent in the white van. The Reeds also had a white work truck sometimes. So did half the county. But the magnet matters. There's read, Reed and Pike, Home Repair. It was old with a little tear on the edge that flapped in the wind. It looked exactly like the ghost Ms. Patel thought she saw. By now you might be wondering, why didn't the police connect these dots? They were trying. They had other dots too. Ballistics, shoe prints, timestamps from security cameras downtown. But Emma and Tyler had something the detectives didn't. A map of their parents' habits. And they kept noticing the little things. Like the signature on that check. Like the way Owen had said at the vigil, I wish they'd kept the cash at the bank instead of the office. How did he know the cash bag was missing? Monday afternoon, the kids made an appointment with Detective Alvarez. Alvarez was practical. He had kind eyes and a coffee cup that said, World's okayest dad. He wasn't in love with kid detectives. He'd seen too many people on YouTube go down rabbit holes, but he listened. Emma put the photocopy on his desk. She told him about GB waste removal. Tyler, hands shaking, played him the 5-second video he had recovered from the recently deleted folder on their home hub. It took him all night. He had watched 20 tutorials, but he did it. The clip showed their garage door bumping open, just a sliver, then wider, and there, in a slice of yellow porch light, was Toby's tail, wagging like a helicopter. A pair of work boots stepped in. The thing that stood out was a thin, reflective stripe near the ankle. Emma had seen those on Owen's pants, a safety feature he said kept him visible on job sites at dawn. Alvarez didn't promise anything right then, but he asked them one question that mattered. Who knows your keypad code? Emma stared at the floor. Family, Ms. Patel, and Owen Detective Alvarez got a warrant for cell location data. He asked for surveillance near the shop. He asked the bank about cash withdrawals. Here's the small twist that became a big deal. Their dad had put an old iPad in the work truck glove box for job photos. It was still logged into family sharing. Find My showed that iPad had been parked outside the Reed shop for 20 minutes between 10:02 and 10:23 p.m. on the night of the murder. It had been at the Reed house for 7 minutes at 9:50, and at 11:15 p.m. it pinged from behind a strip mall where there just happened to be a dumpster. Police checked that dumpster. They pulled out a plastic storage bin with hardware stickers on it. Inside were latex gloves, a black hoodie, and a torn magnet sign that used to say Reed and Pike. The edge matched the little flap Miss Patel remembered. In the hoodie pocket, they found a gas station receipt, timestamp 10:41 p.m. The pump camera caught a white pickup and a man whose face wasn't clear, but whose pants had that same little reflective stripe. Detective Alvarez brought in Owen Pike. People always say, He seemed so normal. He did. He had helped coach Tyler's rec league team. He had fixed Miss Patel's fence for free. He had keys to half the neighborhood. He sat in the interrogation room and cried. He said he was home. He said he was asleep. He said he was grieving. Then Alvarez placed a printed photo on the table, the photocopy of the check with his signature next to David's. Owen stared at it. He broke first on the money. He said he'd been skimming small amounts for months. Borrowing, he called it. Pay it back when the jobs flowed. But Hollow Creek wasn't a little skim. It was 15 grand. He said Gordon Blake was pushing deadlines. He said hidden mold added costs. He said David wanted to tell the client the money was gone, cancel the contract, and pay it back by selling tools and taking side jobs. Owen panicked. He said he just wanted to talk that night. He swore he brought the gun only to scare David. It went wrong, he whispered. When police searched Owen's truck, they found crispy bank bands with First Maple Ridge stamped on them, and a rag that tested positive for gunpowder residue. In his garage behind a toolbox, they found a 9mm, the same model as the murder weapon. The serial number had been filed, the way you see in crime shows. But lab techs still read it. It matched a purchase Owen had made a year earlier for home protection. At this point, you'd think that's the end. The bad guy was the partner. Greed, classic motive, case closed. But there was one more turn. That photocopy with Owen's signature? It shouldn't have existed. Most people don't photocopy the backs of deposit checks. Lauren did. She worked 1 day a week at the bank before she had Emma, and she kept habits. She photocopied anything that smelled off, and that check didn't just have Owen's signature. Below it, there was a faint second endorsement stamp. GB Waste Removal. The bank had a camera at the drive-through lane. It showed a hand sliding an envelope into the drawer 2 days before the murder. Not Owen's hand. The nails were cleaner. There was a big class ring on the middle finger. That ring belonged to Gordon Blake. Gordon wasn't in the room when the murders happened. He had an alibi at a charity dinner with a photo set to prove it. But the paper trail told a story. He had created a shell company, GB Waste Removal, to move money in circles and hide the hole in Hollow Creek. He didn't pull the trigger. He lit the match, and when David and Lauren said they would report the missing deposit and walk away from the flip, he told Owen to handle it, or he'd take them both down. Owen pled to avoid the maximum. In exchange for admitting he shot David and Lauren and staging the office to look like a break-in, he gave up Gordon Blake. Blake lawyered up. He got charged with fraud, conspiracy, and a list of financial crimes with names only accountants love. He didn't do murder time, but he lost his company, his sponsor banners, and his handshake in every ribbon-cutting photo. Turns out the Little League looks different when the ribbons come off. And the kids? Emma and Tyler went back to school in January. Not to fanfare, not to applause. Just math quizzes, gym class, lunch. Their aunt moved into the Reed house. Toby kept sleeping by the front door, but he doesn't jump at shadows anymore. Emma got her learner's permit and drove to the lake where their parents used to fish. Tyler helped sort the tools in the shop and donated what they didn't need to the high school vocational program. They planted 2 maple trees in the front yard. The first spring, the leaves came in like paper hands. People ask if the kids solved the case. I don't think they see it that way. They'll tell you a police department did its job. A neighbor did too. A detective who keeps a joke mug on his desk chose to hear a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old like they mattered. But if you look closer, you see a different truth. The kids noticed what was normal in their family, and when normal changed, they didn't gaslight themselves. They wrote down details. They shared them. They stayed brave in small, boring ways. That was enough. There's a moment I keep coming back to. The first week after the arrest, Emma sat at the kitchen table and reshuffled magnets on the fridge. One read, "Lock the door." It had been there for years. A funny little reminder from Lauren that teenagers forget. Emma didn't throw it away. She took a Sharpie and added 3 words right above the old ones. Lock the right doors, because most people lock the ones that face the street, the obvious ones, the doors strangers might use. But the real danger is sometimes the door we prop open for convenience, the one we share a code for without thinking, the door we trust, the one that opens to people who feel like family. I think about Toby not barking. I think about a thin reflective stripe on a pair of work pants. I think about a kid who found 5 seconds of video not meant to be found. Small things, right? But when small things line up, they turn on a light bright enough for anyone who wants to see. So if you're listening to this in your car or making dinner, here's the part that sticks. You don't need to be a hero to push a story forward. You need to notice your life as it is. You need to trust your gut when something shifts. You need to tell someone who'll listen. That's what Emma and Tyler did. It didn't bring their parents back. It brought them the truth. And sometimes, in a world where most people lock their doors at night, that's the one thing that finally lets you sleep.